Welcome to the devlog for KeyReader. The question we're answering today is, can we build our own Kindle with a twist? Not just our own Kindle, but we're going to add something onto it. So let's read on here. What's next? We'll talk about the pitch. I'm going to tell you why we're doing this. Going to get you excited about it. We'll talk about the plan, how we're going to get it done, and the design, which is where we get into the nitty gritty. So let's start with the pitch. KeyReader. And before we get started, pay attention because you're involved now. What do I mean by that? This project is going to be completely open source. Not only am I explaining the pitch and the design to you, open source, available on this video, the code's going to be there. I'm going to put these slides in a repository. So if this is something that you would use, you can actually follow along, watch this entire tutorial series from the beginning, understand how I built it from the ground up, and then you can modify it to fit your needs, add on features, and if you so choose, contribute those features back so that the rest of the world can use them too. It's very exciting. It's an opportunity. Build something with me that can make you smarter and better every day. Reading makes you better, and this is going to help you read more, absorb more knowledge, all that stuff. It also applies to Take Back Tech, which is what this channel is all about. We're going to build something that maybe already exists, make it a little bit better. Everyone's free to use it and host it themselves however they want, and you don't have to sell your data and your privacy to some company to use it. You can host it yourself. All about DIY, how to figure out how to do things yourself on this channel. So what is the story here? I drove recently for about 12 hours to a family vacation, and of course I queued up some audiobooks for me to listen to during that time because I didn't want to just be sitting in the car not doing anything or listening to music. That would get pretty old. Once I got there though, or when I was at rest stops and had a few minutes, I basically had to, if I was standing in line or something, I didn't have headphones with me, so I couldn't continue my audiobook where I left off in the car. Basically, I listened to a lot of audiobooks, and then I took some time off, and I was relaxing and doing nothing. This is an aside. Spend some time away from technology, don't check your phone, whatever. I was chilling out one afternoon, grabbed a notebook, and started writing down these ideas. I'd had this idea before, but I never fleshed it out. And then here we are. We have this video with a fleshed out idea. So if you haven't taken time off in a while, I would recommend it. So the problem is, audiobooks are cool, and there are plenty of audiobook services that you can get and stream audiobooks on demand. Ebooks are cool. You can also buy ebooks or do whatever. But what if you wanted to do both at the same time? What if you live a lifestyle where you take the train, but you don't have your earbuds, or you drive a bit and then you have to sit and wait for a bit in a loud place where you don't want to be blasting an audiobook? You can try to do this manually. You can read part of the book on your Kindle, you can get in the car and then somehow skip ahead to where you read to, but that's a terrible manual process. You can try to catch up. It's just not going to work, right? It's too hard to skip around in audio, especially when you're trying to drive. And it's hard to flip to the right place in the book. At least you can control F the book, but still, either way, it's very inconvenient. And that is what we're trying to solve. KeyReader to the rescue. What if we could have a single cross-platform application that, if we choose to read, we can read. Pop open your phone, in line, do a few pages. Don't let that time go to waste. However, once you're ready to listen, you get back in the car, keep listening. And once we do that and we have both of them working in conjunction, we can get all kinds of interesting statistics about what you're reading. Of course, that would be your data, so you would own that. But you can see what percentage of the book did you read versus listen and track your reading history. For me, I like to track what I read and when I start and finish books, which is a little, probably a little much, but I like to do it. But it's a pain and prone to errors. What if the app did it for you? What if you could do all of your reading through this one app, whether you're listening or reading, and have it track it, and you can see your progress throughout the year. You can have a year in review if you want and go look at what books you read and think about, reflect on what you've learned that year. Very exciting. So that's the idea. An open source system for consuming audiobooks and ebooks. Why choose between audio or reading? You can easily switch between the two and track and share your reading history with your friends if you so choose. Share your learning journey and facilitate that conversation about reading with other people. So I think it's a very exciting idea. But ideas are great. It's all about the execution, right? So what's the plan here? How are we going to get this done? I think 2 MVPs will be a great way to tackle it. The first one is going to be basically just Kindle Lite, an extremely basic version of an e-reader where you're just reading text. The 3 big challenges there are, how do we input an ebook file that is in a common format, EPUB, MOBI, or PDF. I have a little bit of research to do there. That's the step one of the user. They provide the file, then you read a page on your phone, and then exit out of the app, come back to it. Did it save your progress, or did it start you back over at the table of contents? Those are the 3 steps for the MVP for reading. MVP 2 is extending on MVP 1, where once you've read a few pages, you come back to it, read a few more pages. It's saving your progress for reading. Hop in your car, connect to Bluetooth or whatever, and pick up where you just left off with reading. So that would require a text-to-speech engine to automatically generate the audiobook as it goes. How does it read the text at your current position in the book? And I said it ain't Morgan Freeman, but it'll get the job done. It'll probably be a terrible, tinny, robotic, scary, probably would give little kids nightmares if they heard this voice, type of voice. It won't be pretty, but it'll get the job done. And of course, the third step there is also, if you read for 15 minutes in the car and then you open your book again on your phone, does it turn to the new page that you've advanced to? And maybe there should also be an indicator exactly where your cursor is, something like that. And that could also turn into like a speed reading aid where it moves your eye along the page. But that's besides the point. Those are the 2 MVPs that we would need to hit to make this an actual useful product. And that's what I want. I want to use this, which is why I'm making it. Literally because I want to use it. And hopefully other people want to use it too. So we can do it in an open way and see what happens. Other ideas, maybe you can use it on desktop. Maybe you can share reading history and or books. That gets a little dangerous, but we'll see. And create ebooks in the app and share them with others. What if you could have long form text? Everybody wants to do everything in 180 characters, but what if it became the norm to pen something that's a little bit longer? And if your friends had an easy way to consume something that's 50 or 100 pages, maybe they'd be more likely to read it. Now, if you send somebody a PDF, it's like giving them homework. But what if they could listen to it and page through it, and it's kind of fun, and it keeps track of it for them? You never know. So, implementation plan. Almost getting into the design here, but my plan is to have a client written in React Native so that it's on mobile and desktop quite easily, and a server which as minimal server as possible, but probably Node.js to keep everything the same programming language, JavaScript. But I really fleshed out the screens and components for the React Native side so that we can get a working prototype, even if it's not functional. Start with how it's going to look and how it would be used, even with fake data. So the approach, do as much as possible in the client locally, not focusing on the server. Mono repo for client, server, and documentation. I'll put the slides in that mono repo as well. Just keep everything in one place. We don't need a whole bunch of repositories for this project. Just keep it in one place for now. Document each feature that is added to the code base with a video like this so that there will be a playlist of finite length that someone can watch and understand the project from the very beginning to wherever it ends up. And you can see exactly how much time that would take based on how long that playlist is on YouTube. And open source, people can host their own server instance or use mine. And I'm going to try to program the client so that you can point it to different backends if you'd like. So it could potentially be federated or whatever. Won't be tied to a specific server, hopefully. So the coding video format, as long as needed, as short as possible. I'm rambling quite a bit in this one, but I want to keep it short for the future programming videos. Just do the big ideas, what are we doing and why, show it working with a demo, and go through the code and talk about what's next. So how do we get started on MVP 1? Number 1, the intro video, we're on it, and we're going to put the slides on GitLab, will be good. Mock up the screens and the components, set up the server, send a file from the client to the server, unless we can figure out how to parse an EPUB on the client, which it might be possible. I looked into it a little bit. EPUBs are XML based, so maybe it's possible to do it entirely locally. Not holding my breath though. And work on the reader, the e-reader, work on text-to-speech, and wrap up MVP 1. Actually, that includes MVP 1 and 2 as defined earlier, but whatever. I wrote up some issues, and here you can see on GitLab, there's a link in the description. There's an MVP 1 milestone on there with all of these issues written up, so we're ready to jump in and start tackling these and write some code, which is very exciting. So let's see if we can take this from PowerPoint slides to an actual working real-world product. Okay. The hype part is over. Let's talk about the technical design and see if we can get into the nitty-gritty and see how much we can get done without writing actual code. So at a high level, We're going to have a self-managed server on something like AWS, or it could even run on a Raspberry Pi or whatever, wherever you want to put it. We're going to have a server side. Maybe someday we'll have a physical e-reader that's like you don't have to have blue light in your face. It's not backlit or something like that. But that's so far down the line, I just threw it in here as an idea. The main thing is it's talking over HTTP REST API with the KeyReader app, which is our React Native app on mobile and desktop. And if we can get away without a server, let's try to do that. But I have a feeling we might need it. So the UI flow or state model, how people go through the different screens, this is pretty much laying out all of that. They start out by opening the app, and first and foremost, you have to add books. So that's on the left there, the 1.0 use case, if you want to call it that. You select that you want to add some books, you select your file, and then the app parses that file, which I thought would be the hardest part, but I did a little bit of Googling, might not be too bad. Number 2, reading the book. You say that you want to read a book, you choose the correct book, it opens the current page for you, and you can navigate forward and back within the book. Listening to the book, similar process. You choose which book you want, you stream text to speech, and you have buttons for moving forward and back within the audiobook at that time. Side note, these diagrams are made with Mermaid, and I guess I'll put them on GitLab somewhere, probably in READMEs. Right now, they're rendered by the wiki, but whatever. This is just code. So no fancy diagram tools, open source diagrams too. And so the screens, looks like 6 screens, and I kind of mapped which use cases or parts of the flow there mapped to the screens. I won't go into detail, but I did try to think through exactly what would be on each screen as far as components. I didn't do wireframes. You can always pause the video if you really want to read these, but I'm not going to talk about that too much. It's just in the weeds. This will be my plan though, as I try to implement the MVP. Similarly, the components, hoping to have a component for just about everything. Data classes, book, maybe user. We'll see if we even get that far, but might not be necessary. Components, again, trying to think through what exact functions we need to pass to each visible component on the screen, and for these to be, I guess, stateless, or I don't know what the right term is, but passing functions around rather than coupling the UI with what it does. So whatever. I hand drew some wireframes for the reader and the listener, and that's actually about it. So if you watched this far, thank you for watching this far. I'm excited about this project. This video is pretty low quality, but I'm throwing it out there and we'll see where it goes. Excited about this project, and if you are too, watch to the end, get up to speed on it, and maybe you can contribute too. But until then, thank you for watching. Okay, check this out. It's ready to merge. The top level README has links to the playlist and each video, and the issue and merge request involved with that video, and the slides for the video all in one place, so it's very browsable. Hopefully the link for the slides works. But you can also click on the docs folder, which then gives you the option to look at all of the slides, or you can check out the design artifacts such as the mock-up that you saw in this video. The source is all there, it's all viewable, so check it out. And without further ado, I will approve this merge request and get it merged in. And it's in there.